This is my 1022 that I've had for over 20 years now. I call it Franken gun because really most everything in here I've traded out over that 20 years. I started off with the Hogue stock that you see on it. Not something I'd recommend. The stock is good for hunting. It's got a great grip on it. When it's wet, when it rains. But if you're looking for doing precision, which most people are when they're trading out stocks, it's not. If you get this stock, I'd recommend you try to tighten it as little as possible to keep it from touching that barrel and negatively impacting your shooting. It's also a shorter stock too. It's the same size as the original stock that came with this rifle. So I keep a pad on the back of it, not for the harsh recoil, but to extend the length of pull on it. So that's something else I've done to modify this a little bit to make it more shootable for me. Now, for the other upgrades, all of these are going to help most of you out to improve those target groups, 50 yards, 1/16 of an inch, maybe in some cases, if what you have is a bad Friday creation of a 1022 from the factory, maybe even 1/8 of an inch in those groups at 50 yards and out. The first, which I think they should make standard in the rifles these days, the 1022s, I really think it's bad on their part to make it an aftermarket part that you have to buy in the newer rifles, is going to be the trigger. The BX22 trigger kit is going to improve the amount that you have to pull that trigger. Typically, it's going to be 4.5, 5 pound pull. With that BX, it's 2.5 pounds, 3 pounds from talking with other people. Mine's 2.5 pounds. So you can buy another trigger kit that's going to cost upwards of $100, $200 for a gun that costs $200 before you start modifying it and get a lighter trigger pull. But for me, 2.5 is great. And when I bought it, located a reputable dealer on eBay and was able to get it for less than $50. I'll also include links to eBay and a couple other places for everything I'm talking about in the video today. But the BX22 trigger kit is great. Another item which is really cheap, comparatively speaking, when you're upgrading weapons. After I got the trigger kit put in, I put this in to replace one of those parts. Auto bolt release. For me, I had this thing for over 20 years. Getting it to come loose on that bolt release, doing it the old-fashioned way, it's a piece of cake to me. I didn't really need that, but it cost a whopping 12 bucks. So I did the upgrade. And you can find out how to do the upgrade. There's several videos on YouTube that'll show you how to replace that part for the bolt release. Again, I've got that link in the comments for you. The one I have is tandem cross, but there are other people that have those releases from different makes and models. I'm just telling you what works for me. I'm not making any money from any dealers, so if I can recommend it, it works for me. You're probably better off than buying stuff just randomly. Those are two things you are definitely going to help improve your enjoyment of this rifle, especially that trigger kit. The bolt release makes things go a little bit smoother, especially if you're new to the 1022 and you don't know how to do that proficiently. The next, it's up to you on whether you think you need this or not, and it may improve your accuracy, it might not. And what I'm talking about is getting a CNC precision bolt kit. The whole bolt in here, for most of them, they work just fine. If you have a lot of failure to feeds, extractions, a number of issues could be the cause of that. You might simply need to clean your rifle occasionally. Some lubrication, not too much lubrication, could be the issue as well. So there are a lot of different issues. I'm not going to go into those. I'm not an expert armorer on the 1022. But in some cases, especially if you've had a weapon for a long time, the bolt trigger kit could be the issue. So the bolt on this is by JWH. I sent a link to that. Tandem Cross costs a little bit more. Their stuff is quality. It's worth considering them as well. One thing I would not recommend, due to a nightmarish experience I had when I tried to initially upgrade the bolt on this rifle, was Volquartsen. Saw a really, what I thought was good deal, and got a bolt to replace in this thing. It locked up. It was a nightmare to get out. Thankfully, I was able to find that disaster earlier on. I was able to get my money refunded from that after wasting time, effort, energy putting it in and struggling to get it back out. Discourage you from considering Volquartsen. But the Tandem Cross, it looks like a CNC bolt kit that could work for you too. Just cost more. If you're all about the name, get that. The JWH, I've put probably not 1,000 rounds through here, definitely more than 500 since I got that bolt kit in. It's been doing me well. So definitely something worth considering. If you're just looking to get a 1022, you don't already have one, definitely my recommendation, don't get a 1022. Purchase the frame for it. Just get that, and you can get one of those delivered to most of your gun shops that you like. It is going to be just like you're buying a whole weapon and all the paperwork that you have to do to get that. But just buy that and then get these other parts. The Shaw barrel on here, I think it's helped me out a lot. I failed to mention that, so sorry. Jumping ahead, I do have a link to that. That only cost me $99 from Midway. That definitely did help me out as well. It's worth considering. I'm not going to get into the scopes right now. If you want, we can possibly do a video on that. And right behind that is an American rimfire from Target, from Ruger as well. I've got another video that talks about that more in detail. And that's another scope that's worked well for me shooting 22s. What I've got on here is a Leopold rimfire. So we can talk about that if get some responses where maybe a little more discussion is needed. But that's my overview on upgrades and possible build ideas for a 1022, which I hope has helped you. Please consider subscribing and ask for those notifications in the future if this has been helpful to you. Have a blessed day.